Hello guys, at the minute I'm pretty busy getting ready for the show in Castleblayney, which is next weekend, but for you guys watching this video, it probably was a couple of weeks ago. But one of the things I've been doing is trying to get some of my models that are nearly finished or kind of close to being finished in some sort of working order so I can kind of test them out. So I took a look at the Hitachi here and I'm pretty sure I can get an N20 motor to lift the boom and get that running. Now this won't be the final design for this excavator because I don't want to have to use the XB modules, but I've actually ran out of NRF24 radio modules, so I won't have any more before the show. And since this is already wired up to take an XB, I'm going to stick an XB back in the cab here, and I've just changed around this controller because I'm using my new PCB controller for the NRF24 modules, so I've just added an XB back onto this older kind of prototype controller I had. So hopefully what I'll have is control of the tracks with these controls. I'll be able to control the slewing and the boom with the joysticks, and hopefully this will be pretty straightforward. So I can't really remember what's inside this model, but most of it was working except this boom servo to lift the boom. It just couldn't do it. It was taking way too much power, and I can't really remember what's inside this model, but I don't expect it's going to be too good. I can't really remember if I showed a video of this back at the start, but this model can only go through 180 degrees. There's just a single servo in the middle there, and it can only do around about 180 left to right. So that's going to stay like that for now, but obviously in the future I'm going to change that. I'll 3D print some parts. I didn't have the 3D printer back when I first done this model, so for now I'm just going to try and get as many functions as I can running, change this motor, and that's it. I actually haven't done anything to the model since I brought it along to the Monaghan toy show to show the Monidara farm and agri contractors. This model had pretty good control of the bucket and the extension of the boom. This motor obviously didn't work. The slew, although it was only 180 degrees, was pretty good, and the two track motors were working alright. So that's going to be basically how it's going to be when I'm finished this. Everything will be exactly the same except I'll have fixed this motor hopefully. So I better start taking it apart so that we can modify the bits that we need to change. So first thing I have here is the 7.4 volt battery, which I'm not going to need anymore, so I'll need to remove that. I must have took the pins out separately out of the connector to put that through there, so I'll just have to do that in reverse. There's two of these UBEC things in here. They're kind of like voltage regulators, but maybe high current ones, and I needed two because one dropped the voltage for, well, all the servos in the model, and the other dropped the voltage for just this drive one, I think. So I'm going to have to check if that's actually the way I do have it wired. Well, the first thing I see I can get rid of very easily is this connection for the motor. So this connection going to the motor driver, that should just work fine for the N20 motor. Should be no need to rewire anything for that. So that's a little less work to have to do. And with any luck, this will just come out. I actually might have a wire going there for a potentiometer or two. I need to figure out. There's a broken wire, I don't know where that was. Well, there's that servo out. I had two motors going in to operate the motor, and then signal wires coming back from the potentiometer. I'm pretty sure that was because the control board that had been in the servo just burnt out when I tried to lift the boom, so I had to do it with the motor driver and the Arduino directly. But it still didn't have the power to do it. Well, it did, but I think the UBEC would cut out due to overheating. I think that's what was happening. Not 100% sure, but I think that's what it was. Well, I was working on this fairly late last night. I got rid of one of these UBEC things, didn't need that. I also ended up having to replace the motor driver, and that's not because there was anything wrong with it, but it was because I tried to connect 11 volts to the battery connector here, but I had forgotten that the motor voltage and the VCC for this chip were directly connected to each other because I had been using 5 volts. So obviously enough, that pretty much just exploded and that needed replaced, so I replaced that anyway, so that's fine. It doesn't seem to work very well with the 11 volts. It's just when I use the 7.4 volts, it works a lot better. So I'm going to stick to 7.4 volts. That'll probably mean my motor to lift the boom will be slower. You can see here today I was playing around with some 3D printed parts. It's not working yet. What's happening when it gets to the top of this extension, the pressure comes on here from the weight of the boom and kind of pushes out here. Then the motor's not able to push anymore. So I need to some way hold the screw mechanism straight all the time, and then that might work. Then I'll have to maybe 3D print a cover that comes from here down across the screw and across everything there and holds this piece dead straight all the time. Hopefully that'll work, but it might not. But anyway, I'll show you what I have working now. I have this controller set up. I think I said I was going to do that, so this controller is now set up to control it. For some reason when I power it on, oh okay, I didn't do it that time. Maybe it's when the controller is not attached. Yeah, when the controller is not connected, this track just takes off running like mad. I don't know why that is, but anyway, when the controller is connected, it doesn't seem to do it. So that's fine. I have our controls. The controls are all backwards. I haven't set them up right yet. So there's the extension of the boom. In there to the bucket, no problem. We also have our kind of slewing, so that's fine too. This motor is hooked up to the motor driver there. I don't know if you can see that spinning, but the motor is spinning there. That needs a little bit of perfecting, but like I haven't got this perfected yet anyway, so I'll worry about perfecting the boom motor when I get that done. And then obviously our tracks work fine as well because they did beforehand. So everything now is working as expected except the raising of the boom. So that's always been the problem, so I was pretty much expecting it to be a problem this time too. But I have a few more ideas to get this working, and hopefully I'll get it sorted out today. Alright, I have the lifting arm working to some extent. Well, it's working with the 11.1 volts. I have yet to wire it to the 7.4 and through the motor driver, so there's voltage drop and the motor driver might not work. So previously I had this motor cover here, so this little short end, the screw just came out and connected in here, and with the weight of the boom on it, it was kind of bowing in the middle. That was putting pressure on here and the motor couldn't drive it. So what I've added was this little piece along here with a little kind of joining bar across the top here. So that just holds the whole thing a little bit straighter, so that when the load of the boom is on the screw drive, it's not putting as much pressure on the screw. This little piece is taking quite a bit of the weight, so that means that we're able to screw up and down. So I'll just show you that now with the 11 volts. Now remember, this will be faster than the other one, than with the 7.4 I mean. That's down. So there it has the weight of the boom now. So that didn't have too much difficulty lifting that. So you can see it's beginning to bow again there. So it's not long enough, and also the boom probably isn't as high as you'd like. So what I really need to do is extend the length of this and also extend the length of this piece here, so that they're both a bit longer. That'll put the load out a bit further down, and that should make it extend a little bit further. But this might do for the show. It depends how much time I have. So the next thing to do is wire it up to the motor driver and just make sure that it can actually lift it with the 7.4 volts, and the 7.4 volts going through the motor driver, so a little voltage drop there. But if I get time before the show, I'll print a larger one of these. If not, it'll just do like that for the time being. I don't plan to do too much with this. I'd say it'll just be pushing some coffee grind around during the show, but I think it would do that pretty good the way it is. Okay, well, I've had a chance to test it out a little, and I think I'm going to extend both this piece and the little piece in the middle by a centimetre, because I think this height with the boom sort of the bucket is just lifting the tracks off a little bit is high enough for the show, and that way I can add a little, so it'll raise the boom up a bit, you know, a centimetre, make a little bit of a change. Again, this is only for the show, so I mean, what I do for the final thing, I'm not 100% sure yet, but it's good to note that this motor seems to be able to lift this. It's only got 7.4 volts, so it's a little bit slow. But after the show, I'll probably change all the servos to screw drives, and I'll be able to use 11.1 volts, the same as the PC400. Another thing, I just took the seat out and left the XB in the cab there, just to, you know, it'll be alright for this, just for this show. Because when I finish this, it won't be an XB, be an NRF24. It'll probably just sit in the top of the cab there without any issues. So, show you lifting the boom. The battery's probably going a little bit flat now. I have been doing this for a little while, so it's pretty slow there, especially when considering that there's no load in it. But other than that, it seems to be alright. I mean, it's working, and that's all I really need for the time being. We can track around. Obviously, I'll be replacing this with a proper pin before the show too. And we have a few lights on it, but nothing too major. So that's pretty much how it's going to be when I bring it to the show. If you liked the video, make sure and hit the like button and share and all that. And if you have any comments or suggestions, let me know in the comments below the video or in the forum. Still a lot of work to do in this model. Obviously, it's not perfect, and it's just kind of been thrown together for the show. It's just to add another feature for something else for me to do while I'm at the show. You know, we'll be there for 6 hours, so the more we have to do, the more fun it should be. But that's all I have for today, so thanks very much for watching.